We've got the most expensive build in all of Diablo 4. Nothing's ever going to come close to this. What are we playing? Obviously a Giga Chad Barbarian. So what makes this the most expensive build? That's going to be important. First of all, for some reason they thought it was going to be a good idea to give Barbarians 4 weapons, not a main hand offhand option, not a two-handed, 2 two-handed weapons and 2 one-handed weapons. Now for most builds this is fine. You have a main weapon and you have 3 stat sticks. But what do I want to do? Let's be honest here. I'm trying to do the most amount of damage possible. I don't care how much survivability I have. I want the biggest numbers, the fastest clears, and I just want screen-wide AoE. So that's what I did here. What did it cost? Absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. Really fun video, incredible build. This is going to be my permanent Diablo 4 build. And this is coming from someone that's made tons of videos for the Barbarian. I've gone through lots of the skills. I have way too much playtime, probably over 10 days just in the Barbarian now. I don't even want to look at my D4 armory, but last time it was 9 days and something, so we're getting into scary territory here. So let me show you what this build's about. What up guys, it is MurderInc. We are talking about the most expensive, the most absurd build ever. Now, it's kind of just like a typical Whirlwind build, but is it? We changed a few things. First of all, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I love the way Barbarian looks. Amazing. So, as I said in the introduction, we have 4 weapons. Usually you have a main hand weapon, and then you have like stat sticks. You want the good 4 stats on them, you don't care about anything else. For this though, we need high item power on everything. Now I probably spend, and if you don't know, when I say spend, I'm talking about gold here, gold. And how you buy items with gold is not the merchants. You go to the Diablo 4 Sanctuary Discord, and there is a want to buy, want to sell section, and that is where all of your dreams come true. It's like a bidding war system. I'm okay with that. Auction house probably would have been better, but it is what it is. The game's early. So we have this here. 814, this is one of the weapons I use. This is what I spin with. This is an iteration of the no bleed Whirlwind build that I made 2 weeks ago or however long ago it was. Then we have our one-handers. Oh yes, we are using our one-handers as well. So I have an 803. This was the best I could get with the best stats without having to spend like, I don't know, 200 million gold. You heard me correct, on just this one item, which people do. I probably could have gotten something that's 8, 15, 16, 17, but the good news is these weapons matter the least amount, but they still really should be above 800 IP. And I'm not saying this, if you think you're getting a build guide for this, you're out of your mind. Because like I said, realistically, during seasons, right now, this is a build that's going to cost very close to 1 billion gold. I got my items early. That's kind of the benefit of being a theory crafter. You can look for things that sometimes people don't really, well, I mean, it's hard to say now, but like the one-handed Whirlwind build that I went over with and we theory crafted with a couple people and released, that blew up. Prior to that, these swords were just stat sticks. No one really cared about the item power. So I got those in early. So we have an 812 sword here along with the other one. This is an expensive weapon here. Not max rolls, I definitely can roll core damage up higher, but it is what it is. Then we have an 803 sword. Now I have an 817 axe that I can be using. Why am I not using it? I'm pretty sure it's an issue with my aspect. I think Limitless Rage, I've gone through about 50 max roll Limitless Rage and I didn't have another one. So you know what? Why am I questioning myself? There's not a stash here. That is why. So I'm not going to go and find it, but it is what it is. So I do have an 817 version, and Anyways, I'm not going to go over every single piece of gear. Like I said, this isn't a build guide, but I'm going to highlight a few things here. So the talents, pretty straightforward. Everything's going to look normal. When you start seeing this, you're like, okay, your other builds, they use the +3 from neck for ground stomp, nothing else. This is very important here. Strategic ground stomp, reducing the ultimate cooldown by 1. What ultimate are we using that makes all of this a thing? Iron Maelstrom. Insanely cool. You've already seen clips of it leading up to this moment as I've been talking about things. So you use first your two-handed bludgeoning weapon, which is your two-handed mace, slams into the ground, dealing whatever damage, stunning for 2 seconds. Awesome CC. Next, you do a swipe in front of you, dealing damage and making the targets bleed over 5 seconds. Really nice. Then your dual wield weapons, the final weapons of your arsenal here, swings around you, doing a screen-wide AoE. Amazing skill, feels so good to play with. It's unfortunate it's so expensive, but honestly, it is what it is here. So, and I mean, the description is really cool. Activate 3 times to attach chains to your weapons. So I'm assuming it's like you're hooking chains to them, smashing with the chain, slashing with the chain, and then you're doing like a lasso spin with your final one-handers. And then we take, of course, Prime Iron Maelstrom for crit chance and crit damage, multiplicative on the crit damage, so we like that for sure. Outside of that, everything is pretty self-explanatory here. So what do we use this for? If you're a barbarian, which I would say a few of you are, those annoying succubus that like to backpedal to like Zimbabwe for no reason at all. Or, I don't know if you've noticed this. Let me see. I mean, there's no shot I find one, right? Yeah, so they're like these brutes that just start charging in random directions. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You're going to be fighting. You'll be fighting a pack. Like, ready? Ready? I'll go over to this pack here. We'll dismount. We use our stomp. We use our Iron Maelstrom. Screen-wide AoE. Everything's dead here. So we'll be fighting here. Then there's going to be a brute here. And instead of charging straight at your character, he's going to go like over there. And you're like, yo, what was that dude looking at? I don't know what it is about the AI with those brutes, but it's like they're just targeting the most random thing when you run by them, and they're just sticking with it. So that's what this build is. It's, like I said, the most fun build that I've played, and it's going to be like my perma build. It's hard to imagine any build competing with this, depending on the seasonal affix. I don't want to rush to conclusions just yet, but I mean, it's been pumping through. I mean, we're speed farming under level 70 nightmare dungeons, which, I mean, many builds can do that, but the fact that, I mean, this is a pure, when I say pure glass cannon, yes, we have this, or I mean, our disobedience is stacking, of course, here, which is a bug, but we pretty much have no armor, like absolutely no armor, which, if you're not familiar with, is not good for pushing air. Let's use this ability again, just screen-wide AoE, nothing was even close to us. Now there's a boss here, we're going to spin, just one shot it real quick, just another one, see you later. It definitely wasn't the druids and the necromancers around me. All of the damage was mine. All of it was in fact mine. I think I just saw a 4 million spin. Hey, it is what it is. We're playing Barbarian, you should expect to see these numbers. Maybe it was 400,000. We're not going to talk about that one though. Actually, there was 3 million, so it was definitely a 4 million spin. Anyways, back to the build, why it's so important. I mean, after I kill, I probably... So what they want to do here, if you don't know this, is they're trying to not kill the tethers. Now that there's 2 seconds left, then you kill it. So what did we do? We kind of just farmed a bunch of the Helltide stuff. And yeah, so now it's over, we get our chest, it's GG's. So when I talk about adrenaline rush gameplay, we're using ground stomp. You want to use this on as much density as possible to lower the cooldown of Iron Maelstrom, so we're just perma using this. You can use it as an elite killer, you can run straight to the elites, pop this, hit him with the last 1 second in your vulnerability window with a couple spins, GG. It does have counter synergy in that specific situation. Because of this one talent here, Violent Whirlwind, you have to be spinning for 2 seconds to really pop off with the Whirlwind damage, which you're not going to get if you're using Iron Maelstrom first. And then you're spinning for about 1 to 1.5 seconds, so just like 1 or 2 hits of your actual Whirlwind, and then you start ramping damage outside of, I mean, you're going to see in the gameplay that I'm going to show you of, I believe it's Wraithwind Wilds, where if your vulnerability isn't on the target, just move on. I've seen people struggle with this a lot, and I mean, I mentioned it in my Barbarian guide videos, but I guess I'll reiterate it here in case there are any. I mean, there should be many Barb enjoyers for sure here, but in case you don't know this, if your vulnerability is not currently active on whatever you think you're fighting, move to the next pack. Just forget about what's in front of you, because all of your damage comes from when the target is blue. That is how it works. I don't care if it's an elite, if you messed up your cooldowns, you just got to deal with it. That's how the Barbarian style is going to work for now. So that's the build. Let me all right, let me kill this pack, then I'm going to get to a safe spot. I'm going to go over the Paragon board. We needed to talk about what I did with my Paragon board, because it's the most inefficient thing. Yeah, that makes no sense. I know it makes no sense, that you could ever do with your Paragon board. So let me talk about it real quick. Okay, so like I said, we took no survivability because we just don't care. We're here to smash everything. So like I said, I'm using a bludgeon weapon to spin, but I'm taking things like increased slashing weapon damage just for the Iron Maelstrom. Yes, we get vulnerable damage, and it's probably worth it on its own to have 20 vuln damage here. I would have liked to get these 3 nodes because I'm a DPS fiend, and I just see 15% more Iron Maelstrom damage, and that skill looks cool. We skipped the armor. We just skipped the armor. That's, yeah, quite obvious by now. Now I could get rid of this. I didn't really notice any Fury issues. I really didn't. But I'm afraid if I take this off, the build's gonna feel terrible, and it feels really fun now. I'm not struggling with damage. Like I said before, we're doing like just under 70s, 67, 68, 69 tier nightmare dungeons in like 5 minutes or less, depending on the map. If you get a terrible map, of course it's going to take longer, but we're just steamrolling through all this stuff. So on top of the slashing, we're also taking increased crit damage on one-handed weapons for this one skill, because it's so fun and you can use it so often because of the synergy we took with the lowering your ultimate's cooldown with ground stomp. If you hit enough targets, and we just think about it, you group up 10 mobs, that's 10 seconds off of the ultimate. And what's the cooldown on this? 10 seconds. So every 10 seconds, you can knock over 10 seconds off the ultimate, which is a 33-second cooldown with the cooldown rules that I currently have. So you're using this very often. For me, I said, okay, right away, it's worth for me to invest in a skill that's going to be happening this often. Do I have the uptime that I would have with Whirlwind? No. And like I said, if you really want to copy this, I mean, I'm not going to make a planner for this. I probably will, but I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not going to make a planner for this. But I probably will. You can just look at this, pause it as I'm kind of hovering through this. Oh, I guess I should go over my glyphs. That'd be smart. So ambidextrous, we're scaling one-handed pure damage. Exploit, mandatory. Martial, shout, cooldown. Probably don't need this, but we're taking it just because. Actually, martial, where do I have this? Does it not highlight? Hello? Any highlighters in chat? So we have ambidextrous here, which is boosting, so we get crit damage, close damage. That's nice. We have might here for vulnerable damage. Of course we do. Shout damage, we don't care about this one at all. It's probably a waste. I don't know why I take that. We have Imbiber. We do have Imbiber. 80% healthy damage. You'll love to see it. And then finally Exploit. So Martial is getting its use. Might is, I don't know why I can't find Might. There's just something wrong with me. Wrath here. Okay, so Might's right here. I hovered over it. I guess I'm confusing Martial and Might and all of the other M's together. So that's what we have here. Wrath for crit damage because we're here to do damage. We don't have Undaunted. We don't care about damage reduction. Don't care about territorial. Close damage is nice for sure. But the issue with this close damage is I cannot confirm this. One thing I have noticed is that the Iron Maelstrom is such a wide range that I don't believe we're getting the full effect of close damage, which is why effectively I have kind of like none. Where is it? Crit damage 518, vuln damage 433, Am I blind? Damage with core 240, damage with close 152. Yeah, so we have 131 of this stat from items in Paragon, so this is not a lot. So there are some people that have like 250, 300% close damage. I don't. While it is going to be useful for the main source of damage, main source, we'll call it that for now, in Whirlwind, it's all about Iron Maelstrom. I'm telling you right now, it's all about it. Now, ideally, you could make a weapons arsenal build with this, but we're here to spin to wind at 100 miles an hour and speedrun things. And until an arsenal build can do that, I don't want to hear anything about it. I'm going to tell you right now. So the only other optimization that I've found prior to recording this and while I've been recording this is maybe it's okay to not take Violent Whirlwind. Grab something like Furious Wind. You'd have to change your Paragon board a little bit. There is a Paragon, it's Hemorrhage here. If you can get this, could be good, but then again, 3 seconds is our vulnerability window, so I lied. That's a terrible idea. This is what I get for trying to theorycraft on my feet. So that is the build. You guys can see the gameplay, see how much fun it is. I'm probably gonna, I don't really need to do Helltide, so we're fine with that, but screen wide AoE, insanely expensive, but worth every single piece of gold, without a doubt. If you have the gold, if you got some GG item, you know about the Discord and you sold it there, and you made hundreds of millions of gold, you will not be disappointed with this build. I'm telling you for a fact here. Now, one thing I considered doing is taking a page out of the Ramala build, Ramala, which I can't show you because I don't have my stash near me. Should just get it. It's basically a weapon that scales with Max Fury. I did try it. It's a bit hard to do because then you start having to put into points for Max Fury. Here, then there's another pathway here. And I mean, it does a lot of damage, but the Max Fury only scales on the third part of Iron Maelstrom. So the large slash. So I don't know if that's going to be worth it because the damage you're losing can apply to the first 2 hits and your Whirlwind. So I'm going to say, I mean, I'm pretty confident it's not going to work that way. But just to spitball before I wrap up this video, if you wanted to swap and you wanted to play this, not that I'd ever recommend someone play this if you're tight on gold, do not try this. Cannot stress this enough. Probably should have said this at the start. There are people who definitely clicked off because I've been ranting like 5 minutes ago. And they're building this now with like 750 item power. They're going to be like, yo, I watched this video on Murder. His guides have been so good. Then I watched this one. It was amazing on screen. I tried it and my build sucks. You want to know why? Because your gear sucks. It is what it is. That's just the penalty of this. So, I mean, I guess I didn't show the aspects of it really quickly. Numbing, Iron Blood, Bone. I mean, you can just pause it. I'm not going to go through it all here. The video's been long enough already. Berserk Ripping. I don't think Berserk Ripping is the play. If you could get conceded and somehow figure out a way to get a shield on here, that is more damage. You don't really need this damage reduction. Anyways, yeah, so we don't even have maxed out aspects, so we're going to do that for sure here. And yeah, so this is going to be the Barbarian build for me personally, and any gold enjoyers, right? If you hit those GG items early on and you want to have a ton of fun and you don't want Barbarian to ever seem dull or boring, here you go. You can swap Whirlwind with anything you want. Literally any core skill you want that doesn't require some type of odd ramp up in the skill tree. We can just go to core skills real quick and go over it. Hammer of the Ancients will work. You'll have to do the Max Fury thing. Upheaval will work, Double Swing will work, Rend will work, then you have to make it more bleed focused, but anything that requires a one-handed to work, I say one-handed, like that's a thing. Anything that requires a basic skill to work is what I meant. No good, you don't have enough room. You really want the Quake aspect because the Quake damage will apply while you're standing in it to the entire Iron Maelstrom, even though technically you're hitting outside of the, what is it? While standing in earthquakes, you're standing in it and your weapons are hitting outside of it and it's still counting for your damage. That should be obvious, but nothing's been obvious with aspects for this game so far. So that's going to conclude this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You enjoyed watching it. I love this. I cannot stress that enough. It's been a blast to play. If you would like to give it a try, I welcome it, but keep in mind, full disclosure, it's very expensive to build. And if you're okay with farming 50s, 52s, just because it's more fun, it's probably the way to go. And I'll have a planner for you guys in the pinned comment. I caped. It is what it is. All right, that's going to conclude the video. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, subscribe. You already know what to do, and see you in the next upload.